So, I was joking earlier that the Republican Party in the state of California was, along with the dinosaurs, wiped out by an asteroid some 66 million years ago. I mean, it almost might as well be, except for some congressional and state legislature seats. They talk a lot about having to open the tent a bit more, but boy, just try it. We have had on the show a couple of times in the past Harmeet Dhillon, who is an attorney with Dhillon and Smith here in the Bay Area. She is chairwoman of the San Francisco Republican Party. Yes, there is such a thing. And her credentials, her Republican credentials are impeccable. And yet there are people in the state party that are trying to peck them. Harmeet, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Gil. I'm happy to be here.
It's good to have you. You're running to be vice chair of the California Republican Party. You would be the first female, I guess, and the first female of an ethnic, first female, period, and first female of an ethnic minority in the job?
That's correct. First female, period.
Okay. All right. So we don't even have to add anything to that. Other Republicans are saying, despite your views on abortion and same-sex marriage, which are because of your faith, your personal views anyway, and your views on fiscal management and all of that, since you have supported the American Civil Liberties Union, you are unfit for the job because, and I'm quoting Celeste Grieg, the president of the California Republican Assembly, the ACLU is a communist organization.
Yes. Well, what can I say? Ms. Gregg is obviously terribly ill-informed about the history of the civil rights movement in this country and the critical role that organization has played vis-a-vis matters of freedom of speech and the rights that are guaranteed by the Bill of Rights of the Constitution. So I have collaborated with a number of different groups over the years that not every conservative necessarily participates with. That includes domestic violence organizations to help women in need, and that includes civil rights organizations to protect our freedoms of speech, freedoms against illegal search and seizure, and matters like that. Ms. Gregg chose to seize on the fact that between 2002 and 2005, at a post-9/11 time when members of my Orthodox Sikh community were being shot all over the country in hate crimes because they were mistaken for terrorists, I participated with the ACLU in educational outreach programs to law enforcement in California and to the general public to help them understand who the Sikhs were and why we shouldn't be shot at. And, to her, that's some kind of crime and makes me a communist, but I'm happy to say that the majority of the Republican Party and Republican delegates in our state don't agree with that. And in my race for California Republican Party vice chairman, I have the support of the majority of the state legislators and a growing number of other party leaders. So she's a fringe.
Yeah, the Republicans in the state have to do something. They don't have one statewide elected official. Right now, their coffers are completely empty. In fact, they have a debt of $500,000. But it seems that just opening the tent just even a little wee bit seems to get nothing but no. We don't care how small this club is. It's our club, and even if there's just three of us who are members, and we have absolutely no power anymore and no longer make any difference in the state, we don't care.
Well, let's be clear. Every large group of people, including the Democrats, including communists, including, Ron Paul supporters, they all have their radical fringe of crazies. And, the Republican Party is no different. And I'm sorry to say that, those crazies often get the most press attention and the most that they speak the loudest, but they do not speak for the party. This is my Republican Party just as much as it is the party of any person who calls himself a Republican, and I'm well in the mainstream of the conservative movement, as 25 years of conservative activism demonstrates, from working at the Heritage Foundation to the Department of Justice to heading the Federalist Society, largest chapter in the country, to running for office twice as a Republican in San Francisco, and to being the chairman of the party in San Francisco for my second term, unanimously elected. I'm in the mainstream, and those elements who can't accept the fact that we do have civil rights history in our party. I mean, for goodness sake, we're the party of Lincoln. Martin Luther King was a Republican. And we should be proud of our civil rights heritage and not marginalize people with these types of ludicrous red baiting comments.
Even on the ACLU connection, I mean, you could point out that the ACLU defended Oliver North, much to the bewilderment of some ACLU supporters, but did. And back when you were in college at Dartmouth, I believe one of the first ways that you came into contact with them was that you were working at the Dartmouth Review, which is a conservative publication, and they helped you and the Dartmouth Review continue to publish after the school tried to clamp down on it. That's right. We had 3 student editors suspended indefinitely from the college for criticizing a music professor who was a leftist for not teaching music but teaching leftism from the classroom. And the ACLU got a fine New York attorney to represent us, sued the college, and got my students reinstated while I was editor-in-chief. And so, I wasn't a member of the organization back then, but I was certainly grateful for them standing up for the First Amendment and for the rights of my colleagues to express their conservative views on campus. And I don't regret for 1 minute participating in helping educate the public about who the Sikhs are at a time of civil rights crisis for my community. There are people in our party who would probably condemn African Americans for being on the board of the NAACP during the civil rights movement. I mean, again, those are very minority, extreme, bigoted views, and they do not represent the views of the party. It'll be interesting to follow this and continue to follow your career. Harmeet Dhillon is an attorney with Dhillon and Smith. She's chairwoman of the San Francisco Republican Party, running to be vice chair of the California Republican Party. Harmeet, always good to talk to you. Thanks for being with us. You're welcome, Gil. Have a great evening. All right. You take care.